Hello everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm so excited today because we're going to be talking about something I get asked. My name is Cartha, Nigeria's crochet queen, and in today's video we're going to be talking about how to create original crochet pieces. That's how to create crochet pieces without following anybody's crochet patterns. Okay, this is a question I get asked a lot because most of my pieces are original pieces. They are things I create by myself from scratch. I don't follow anybody's patterns, and I'm going to be teaching you how you can do that for yourself in today's video. But before we get into it, please take a moment to subscribe to my YouTube channel down below and click on the bell icon so that you are notified every single time I post. I post a lot of helpful crochet resources that can help you get better at your crochet craft. I hope you subscribe now, so let's get on into this video. Okay, when you want to create an original crochet piece, of course the very first thing you need to know is what piece will it be. Is it going to be a dress? Is it going to be a jumpsuit? Is it going to be a blouse? You know, you want to decide what piece it is going to be so that you can then go and start finding inspiration or ideas for what you want it to look like. Now, this is if you don't already know what you want to create, but if you already know what you want to create, it's fine. You probably don't need inspiration anymore since you already have a picture in your head of what you want. But if you don't have any picture in your head, step one applies to you. You need to decide what piece you want to make, and you can get inspiration online. And the sweet thing about creating original crochet pieces of your own is that you can even get inspired by a piece that is not crochet at all. Okay, and not to worry, I'm going to be explaining to you how you can translate a picture of a piece that is not crochet into a crochet piece. All right, so you can find inspirations online, on Instagram, maybe when you're scrolling through your Instagram feed, on an app like Pinterest, or maybe when you're actually going somewhere, like you can just see somebody, or you can see a piece in a store and you'll be like, oh, I really like this piece and I would like to replicate it. Okay, so step one is finding inspiration or finding your idea for the piece you want to create. Now let's go on to step two. Step two is interesting. Even though a lot of people like to skip it, I highly advise that you don't skip it. And step two is sketching your piece. Now you already have a picture in your head of what you want to create. The next thing will be to put down that picture down on paper. Okay, you want to put it on paper so that it guides you when you start crocheting. You sketch the piece you have in your head. You're going to sketch the piece in the way you want to make it. Maybe if you want to make it in two panels, you sketch the two panels, the back and the front. If it's going to have sleeves, you want to also sketch out the sleeves. So you basically do a sketch of what the piece will be like when you're crocheting it, right? Once you do your sketch, a part that most people omit when they sketch, this is a popular mistake I see people make, is that they don't put in measurements in their sketch, and it is very important. You need to put in the measurements in your sketch. That's the measurement of the person that will wear the piece. You put that measurement in the sketch just so that you have a sense of direction and you have something guiding you. And when you actually start crocheting, you're going to be able to check your crochet work and confirm that it matches what you've sketched down, including the measurements. Okay, so that if there's a problem, if there's a mismatch somewhere, you know that you need to correct something before you finish crocheting the piece. So if you notice that what you're crocheting doesn't look like what you've sketched, you know that, oh, something is going wrong and I need to fix something. Every interval, you can always cross check your crochet work with your sketch to make sure that you are on the right track. So your sketch is just going to serve as a guide for what you're making. And once you do your sketch, you've put in the measurements, we're going to move on to step three, which is to choose the yarn you want to work with and the appropriate hook size. And this is almost like pretty easy. You just need to choose a yarn you want to work with, and then you're going to choose a hook that works best with that yarn and to produce the kind of results you want. Okay, moving on to step four, you choose your stitch. This is the exciting part because this is where the crochet starts coming. In case the other parts you found them boring, now we are moving on to the crochet part. You're going to choose a stitch. There is a multitude of stitch on the internet, like so many, much more than everybody can exhaust. Okay, so you want to go to platforms like Instagram, Pinterest, or even Google, even YouTube. I also have like a lot of stitch tutorials on my channel, and just look for different kinds of stitches and see the one that you're going to want to use for your project. You know, you can decide whether you want to use a lacy stitch or you want to use something that is not see-through. You don't want your finished piece to be transparent. You're basically just going to look for a stitch that would work for the piece you want to make, depending on the idea you have, right? What I like to do actually is to always save stitches. So whenever I'm scrolling through Instagram, whether I want to make something or not, if I find a stitch pattern, I'm going to save it. So I sort of have like a library of stitches on my laptop and on my phone that I can look through whenever I'm looking to use a new kind of stitch. Okay, and I think it's something you can adopt to, because like I always tell people that follow me on Instagram, in which you should also follow me on Instagram if you are not following me yet. My handle is Hooked on Kauthar, and I constantly like share tips for crocheters. So I usually tell my followers that I feel like one of the best things you can know, or one of the best things you can arm yourself with, is knowing a variety of crochet stitches. Because if you know a variety of crochet stitches, then you'll be able to do a variety of things, right? So try to always save crochet stitches every time you see them. And then let me add that some crochet stitches are not like, the instruction for some crochet stitches are not written out. They are usually in form of a diagram, but you don't need to worry if you cannot read diagrams, because like I have like 5, 6, 7 videos. When I initially started my channel, I used to post a lot of crochet tutorials, particularly explaining how you can read crochet diagrams. So check my channel. I'm going to link some videos in the description box for you that teaches you how to read crochet diagrams. All right, so finding a stitch for your work is step 4. Once you found your stitch, we are moving on to step 5. You're going to create a swatch. Creating a swatch is another exciting part, because you are crocheting here. You're just going to be crocheting a swatch. A swatch is just like a small experimental piece of fabric. So you're going to be making like a square that measures 5 inches by 5 inches. It's a very small portion of work, so you can start with like a chain of 20 or 30 depending on what the stitch you've chosen calls for. Okay, so when you're doing a swatch, some things you want to note that I feel like is another popular mistake crocheters make is, when you are doing a swatch for your project, you want to use the yarn, the hook, and the stitch you intend to use for the actual project. So for example, if you want to crochet a skirt using double crochet stitches, you cannot do a swatch with single crochet stitches. It will not work. Or if you want to use 5mm hook for your project, you cannot do your swatch with 2mm hook. The swatch will not give you the kind of results you want, because the swatch is just to give you a feel of what your finished piece will look like. So you need to use everything you want to use for your finished piece for the swatch, so that you can see if you like the results that you've gotten. Do you understand? Like if you make the swatch now and you realize that, oh, this fabric is too thick, I don't want my finished piece to be this thick, you know now that you need to either change your hook to a bigger hook, or you change the yarn you want to use to a lighter yarn. Do you get? So you need to do your swatch. Also, it is your swatch that's going to help you determine how many stitches to do in your project and how many rows you're going to be doing. So do a swatch, start with like 20 or 30 chains, and do a couple of rows, like 7 or 10 rows. You can just measure. When your swatch is like 5 inches by 5 inches, you cut off the yarn, fasten off, and that's going to be your swatch done. And now you look at the swatch. Do you like the results? Do you want to change your stitch? Maybe you want the piece to be see-through, and then you thought the stitch you chose was see-through, and after making the swatch you realize that it is not see-through enough. You want something different. It's easy. You can just do another swatch with a new kind of stitch, right? The swatch basically saves you from like finishing a complete crochet piece and realizing that you don't like the results that you've gotten. So the swatch is going to give you an idea of what your final piece will be, and you can decide there and then whether you want to go ahead or you want to change something. Okay, that is our step 5 done. Now we're going to now move on to creating our masterpiece. Okay, you've done your swatch, you've chosen the yarn, you've chosen the hook size, you have your sketch that is going to guide you. The next thing is to start crocheting. Okay, and when it's time to start crocheting, one of the first questions that you're going to have is, how many chains do I need to start my work with? And it's okay, that is why you did a swatch. You're just going to measure your swatch to see how many inches to see how many stitches are in a particular inches, and that will guide you as to how many stitches to make for your work. Since you already know the measurements you want for your work, okay, you're then going to be able to tell. So let's say you want 20 inches in your work, and you notice that 4 stitches make up 5 inches. That's just an example. Like you notice that when you measured your swatch, you had 4 double crochet stitches in 5 inches, and you want your entire project to be 20 inches. You just need to say, okay, if 4 stitches measure 5 inches, how many stitches will measure 20 inches? And you just cross multiply and get that value. Okay, now I know that this might be too much math for some of you, and because of that I actually created a stitch counter. It's something that helps you calculate the number of stitches and the number of rows that you need to do in your crochet project, as long as you've done your swatch. Okay, so once you click on the link in the description box below, it takes you to the counter, and all you need to do is measure your swatch, put in the values for your swatch, put in the measurements you want for your piece, and it is going to calculate and tell you automatically how many stitches you're going to be doing in that project and how many rows to be doing in that project. Okay, now I hope you understood everything I've said. Those are the 6 steps that you need to take when you want to crochet an original piece that nobody has created a crochet pattern for. Okay, first you find inspiration for the piece. Second, you do your sketch and don't forget to include your measurements. Third, you're going to choose your hook size and the yarn you want to work with. Step 4, you choose your stitch. Step 5, you do a swatch, and step 6, you start crocheting your masterpiece. All right, I hope you found this video helpful. Now, if after everything you've heard you feel like you need more help, you want me to explain to you in more details, not to worry, I actually have a one-on-one coaching program where I take you through the journey of creating original crochet pieces of your own. And in this program we're going to be looking at different crochet clothings like blouses, we do dresses, we do skirts, pants, jumpsuits, and I basically take you through all of these steps in details. You know, I hold your hands, I show you how I do it, and it is a 6 weeks intense coaching program. And at the end of this coaching program, you're going to be like a master at creating original crochet pieces of your own. If this sounds like something you're interested in, click the link in the description box below to book a call with me so that we can see if you're a good fit for the program, as the program is not for absolute beginners. Okay, so I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't. Up till this point, I share a lot of really helpful crochet tutorials that would help you take your crochet game to the next level. All right, thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'm going to see you in my next video. Don't forget to check the description box for all the helpful links. I'm just going to link everything that would help you after watching this video. Okay, so check the description box, and I'm going to see you in my very next video. All right, bye.